Astra Yao is the best, worst thing possible to happen to Zenless Zone Zero. I know that's crazy for me to say, right? The first limited support character that we have coming in as Zenless in, well, forever. Astra brings an absurd amount of potential to the game, and with that absurdity, I could easily compare this to something like Ruan Mayor Robin from Honkai Star Rail, but I made a really wild claim. Let me elaborate. If it wasn't obvious, shout out to the CE server, because all the footage you're watching is from CE server. So yeah, things are subject to change, and there might be some differences between what I'm playing and experiencing versus what you guys get on the live server. Anyhow, from a base kit, Astra Yao seems to be, you know, okay. And when I say okay, I don't actually mean okay, I mean busted. 20% bonus damage, 25% crit damage, and up to 1200 base attack. All of this is in her base kit, mind you, like just her, nothing else. No disk drives, no W engines. But if we talk about disk drives and W engines, then we can start adding another 24% bonus damage from whatever drive set you decide to use. She has bonus damage or mega attack bonus damage coming from either W engine option that you're going to be using. Then when it comes to the physical details of her kit, she's going to spam quick assist like crazy, and not her, but she gives you the ability to spam quick assist. She's the first character in the game to pretty much establish that chain attacks can happen outside of a chain attack. I know that sounds weird, but just bear with me real quick. And then her ult is the first and only ult in the game that heals allies, and she gives you like 3000 healing from the ultimate. So that's a lot. Now, if you would ask me about Zenless Zone Zero, even 2 or 3 patches ago, we really didn't need healing. Healing was one of those things where if you needed heals, you were just bad at the game. And I don't say that maliciously. I say it with love. But now going into version 1.5 of the game is pretty prevalent to me with this new boss, this traffic light cone boss that we're going to be fighting in Shiyu defense. There is a giant amp up when it comes to the stats of the enemies. And I'm not sure if this is HP inflation purely off HP. I'm not sure if this is just multipliers across the board, or if they took something from Deadly Assault or the tower and put it inside of Shiyu. Regardless of the fact, we now have our third increment in increases per character. I'm pretty sure this is the third. So when you combine all of that with Astra coming into the game, this all sounds wonderful, right? A limited support agent that a number of players, both free to play and paid for, can pick up with ease thanks to 1.4's generosity. Couple that with the fact that team building isn't so much as restrictive, but it is a bit limiting depending on the type of teams that you use. And right now we're in a situation where Anomaly is king de la king. That doesn't sound right. Anomaly is the king of DPS right now, bro. If you're playing Anomaly, you're on top. If you're not playing Anomaly, you're not at the bottom, but you're not on top. Yo, this light is crazy right now. The main point being is that Anomaly characters are up there, and we do have some very strong attack based or DPS like crit characters, Yuyuin, and even Ellen to a degree, or recently Harumasa, but they are not keeping up in the same degree or with the same ease that the Anomaly based characters are. And with Astra coming into the game, it feels like she's supposed to make this better. She's supposed to bring attack type characters up to snuff with the Anomaly based characters, but this creates a new problem. I say this quite often for some of the other games that I cover, but if you directly buff something in a game to try and, I guess, catch up with whatever the meta is or what the top thing is, unless that buff is specifically for that thing, then you are indirectly buffing everything else, or something else in this case, and something else being Anomaly. So yeah, Astra buffs attack type characters, and she brings them up to what would have been the Anomaly standards previous to 1.5. But now that we have Astra, who also happens to buff attack and Anomaly based characters, well, she just kind of put Anomaly on top of the top. My initial impressions of the character were lackluster, to say the least. I really wasn't vibing with what Astra was bringing to the table, even though I knew it was just literally press skill, leave the field, and then you play 2 characters. But something about this felt weird to me, because whenever I'm trying to do team building with the third type of character, the third is usually something that kind of brings everything together. It makes things easier to sync. Maybe that might be team rotations, maybe that's combos, maybe that's helping you get a stun at the exact time that you need it, or building Anomaly with the third character to help you get those disorders. Whatever it is, Astra made a lot of these teams feel off once I started bringing her into the mix. So then that's when it clicked, and I started running dual DPS or double DPS teams. And this is something that we tried back in, I believe, 1.2 or 1.3 with Bernice, where we had Jane and Bernice. And Jane and Bernice were strong, but it was missing something. At one point we were using Caesar, and a lot of people thought that Caesar was that something, but Caesar was not that something. In fact, I believe Astra is that something, but Astra's the something for a number of characters. Are you starting to see my problem with this? We could go down the list for any DPS character in the game, and Astra is by far the best support in the game for them, minus Zhu Yuan. I think Nicole is still Juyuin's strongest partner for a number of different reasons, and the fact that she buffs Ether specifically, she's going to be helping Juyuin that much further, and the grouping. And to go even further than that, I'd probably say Nicole is also better for Harumasa as well, but I'm not going to really make that claim yet until I do a lot more testing, and this might be in the guide once we get to that point, which you guys will see next week. Outside of those two, I felt like Astra was just the best support unit for every single person in the game. What I didn't like was the fact that I no longer needed a stunner, and this isn't me saying that I need a stunner, right? I want the stunner on the team. No, it more so meant that now I had to find a new way to team build. And my original idea of dual DPS, it wasn't something that how do I put it? Every DPS character doesn't flow with every DPS character. I finally fixed the lighting. And what I mean by that is something like Juyuin and Rina might sound cool in concept, but they don't really flow together. Or Grace and Harumasa, which a lot of you guys were asking me about before, but they also don't really flow well together. And so adding Astra just adds essentially a damage multiplier to this entire thing, and then it forces you to only play Grace and Harumasa. And if these two don't naturally play well together, even without a third character, it becomes a little more difficult, or a lot more difficult, to make them function in a team outside of just brute forcing your way to it. And that is probably my biggest issue with Astra right now, is the fact that, similarly to Ruan Mei or Robin when they came out in Star Rail, these characters are so universally strong, so universally busted to be used in a number of any different situations, but they're significantly stronger in their own niche, yet they're not limited to it. And that might sound like a little hater, right? Like, guys, this character is borderline a must pull, in my opinion. And I don't like to say that because I don't really feel like the only character that I think is a must pull in Zenless is probably Qingyi, but Astra's up there now. The ability to brute force whatever you want, when you want, and how you want, without any care to the game's order, I should say, feels a little too strong. Now, mind you, this is still first impressions. I have not fully tested out every single team combo or team type. I haven't gone through the list of like what rotations work. I haven't done a lot of these different things to figure out how I would want to play Astra in a way that allows any one team to excel. What I will say is that, again, the anomaly-based characters are kind of just on top. Jane and Bernice feels a lot smoother to play now with Astra being on the team. Miyabi and Yanagi is still Miyabi and Yanagi, but Miyabi and Yanagi is one of those teams where, like, I figured out different ways to play them on a number of teams. I've had help figuring out how to find them in different teams and optimize that. And I think they're just really good. I think these are some of the best designed characters in the game due to the fact that they work together amazingly well. But if I were to start going down the list and maybe looking at Soldier 11, Lighter, and then adding Astra into the mix, well, if Lighter's not a DPS character, which most of you guys don't build Lighter as a DPS character, then it's going to be a little harder to make that work. And then Ellen or Soldier 11 or Nekomata, any of these attack type characters, really still want the enemy to be stunned. And Astra's kind of good at this, right? Where she essentially gives you the damage multiplier that you would have if they were stunned without them being stunned. The problem with that is some of these characters still have their when blank is stunned, get this much damage percent, which you do want. Or when this character is stunned or when this enemy is stunned, get this much ice damage bonus, or this much attack percent, or this crit, or this special ability, or this unique meter, whatever. So naturally you would want to fill in or fit in your stunner character, but then you'll see bringing a stunner into this whole quick assist meta, this quick assist thing with Astra, well, their quick assist might not be the best. They might not really bring a lot of value to them switching in and out as often as they would be with your DPS character. And some DPS characters are better for quick assist than others. These characters being something like Nekomata, who's going to get that damage boost, and she's going to be able to have that for a few seconds, do what she wants to do. And then because of Astra's natural 3-second cooldown before another quick assist happens, you'll easily be able to swap her out into somebody else, like maybe Soldier 11. And this is where a lot of the unison or team synergies come into play, is finding out who fits these damage windows when you have Astra on the field. Because to be fair, you essentially have to force Astra to get on the field and then use her ult whenever you have it by clicking your swap a couple times in order to get an Astra, because otherwise she's just never going to be on the field. And you really want to figure out which characters work their best together with just the two of them. Now, I've experimented with a number of different teams as of late, but like I said, I've really been vibing with anything Miyabi and Yanagi. I do feel like Jane and Bernice is pretty strong, and I've even been experimenting with Soldier 11 or revisiting Nekomata. Ellen is coming up with her rerun, so I've been playing a lot of Ellen too, and Ellen's one of those characters which I've had a lot of fun with this team in particular, and I've also been able to get a sub 60-second clear with this team. Ellen and Miyabi and Astra. I know that sounds crazy, but Astra being able to buff both of them, Astra makes up for this with the amount of damage that she's giving to the table. And then Miyabi just helps her freeze things. So you get these natural double freezes without having to do too many intricate combos. But if you do happen to know the freeze combos for both of these characters, then it's double freeze from Miyabi and then a single freeze from Ellen, another freeze from Miyabi, stun happens, Ellen does her ult, the enemy dies. It's a wonderful thing, but we'll talk about that in a later video. I think this character's cracked. I think that this character being the best worst thing possible is best thing is obviously for everybody. If you happen to pick up this character, she's phenomenal being, astronomical, I think is the term they're using. But I say it's the worst thing because now this insinuates, or not insinuates, but it encourages. Now this encourages a different type of playstyle or a lazier type of playstyle, if you will. But again, these are my first impressions and I would love to be wrong. I want Astra to have a much stronger or unique purpose, and I don't want it to be something closer to how Mei is when it comes to Starro. Mei is one of those characters that are still seen as a revered to as like, you know, you got to have Mei on your account because of so many different things she provides to the table. And with new characters coming out, she just continues to have some place on the team or in the meta, multiple teams, whatever the case might be. And I feel like Astra is that for Zenless, but it also started the whole like power creep. If you don't have Mei, then your account's a brick nonsense. And I would hate for that to be the thing with Astra. So we'll see, only time will tell. Anyway, like the video, comment, subscribe. I can't say my usual outro because I'm for YouTube. Smell you later.